Hello everyone and happy Saturday, and we are back as promised for our mark making session, or our paper. We're making the papers first. We're going to do all the decorative grounds on tissue paper, on our glassine, on our Chinese calligraphy paper, using Seth's new colors. I'm excited to now go deeper because I like a lot of color matching, and these colors match so beautifully. And so many of the papers that I'm using these days, I'm using these stains in just all kinds of ways. So we're just going to explore a few of them today, because probably as many colors as Seth has, I have ways of working with these. So we're going to do some of the basics today, which is color matching, color theory, like color mixing. I like to see what colors I'm going to get from the paints. And you know, I use a lot of Sumi, so I end up getting a lot of black in the colors as well. So you'll see there's mixing going on. But one of the things I wanted to show you, this is a book that I just finished up in my Patreon book group. Book is art, or art of the book, because there really is an art to bookmaking. When you really take a deeper dive into books, you'll realize that you don't just pick a topic and pick a oh, I'm gonna do that structure and then just start making it, because sometimes the type of thing that you want to do with the book might not work for the book. So there's a lot of theory. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, but there's a lot that goes into it. So I wanted to show you. We just finished this book in Patreon in the second level, which is the BTS, or the book level. The first tier, which is $10, just to flesh it out because I get a lot of questions on this, is journaling. I'm big on art journaling. So I feel like you should art journal every day, or at least 3 or 4 times a week. As artists, as creators, that should just be happening. So at the $10 level, that's a lot of accountability. We work in various journals. We're doing a lot of collage, a lot of things like that. But I also do at least one jelly printing session a month in that on the $10 level. And so the papers that we make, the things that we're doing, we're putting back in journals. So at the second level, and I'll just flip while I'm talking so that you can see the book. These are all on glassine papers. I wanted to show you this book because this entire book is using the glassine papers that we're going to work on today, and that many of you have. They're beautiful for working on. They take the Sumi, they take the Poscas, they take Seth's Izinks, and then of course I collage on them. They collage beautifully. The paper really adheres nicely. So we did this book, and this one we were exploring working on very large sheets and then cutting them down. We were working with a lot of mark making, tons of layering. This is jelly printing that we did on tissue paper, actually extrapolating and enlarging them from some of the symbols that were already on the page. So we do a lot of this. Like, for instance, these symbols that I got right here on the Posca pen that I did on the gel plate, this image, then I believe I took this one here and enlarged it, and then made a stencil, a mask, and then created these prints that sort of mimic the pattern. So I do a lot of that in book because there's just a lot of kind of theory and that you have to thinking about your images and what the book is going to say. We have these layers of the transparencies like I showed you. We've used these in our journal, but I use these a lot in the book. I love it. So I just wanted to show you this very quickly because I want you to think expansive about these pages. You can make an entire book out of them. We can use them as collage material. This glassine is just amazing. And then the covers are using drawing paper that I did traditional momigami on. So I showed you all here how to do the oil one. In Patreon, we did the traditional one, which takes a little bit more cooking and stuff and all that. It's easy, but it's a little bit more involved. And then these papers were made from that. So just wanted to show you all that you can do a lot with these papers. So at the $25 level, we do lots of book exploration. And this book we actually use, which is called a traditional long stitch or laying stitch. It's kind of hard to see it, but I also show various sewing techniques. So we also are developing a vocabulary of book styles that you can choose from for sewing when you're ready to make different books. It's not just the pamphlet stitch, you know, or something like that. So just wanted to kind of wet your whistle a little bit, thinking about what you can do with these papers. So we're going to be working on the glassine today. We will be working on our archival tissue paper. So we'll be using the white and the Kraft. We will be using our calligraphy paper that so many of you all have. So this, and I always have the links for all of this below the video in the description. Or you can go over to my Amazon store, and everything is in categories. So if you just save the link for my Amazon store, I always update it. And if you just go in there, I have it all in categories like, you know, mark making, jelly plate, Sumi ink, you know, and then you'll open it up and all of the things that I use are underneath there. So that's another way just to kind of stay up with it. And then also, this is some more calligraphy paper. This paper is a lot thicker than this. It's a little bit more expensive, but not ridiculously so. And you get, I forget how much it is. I don't know, maybe $19. You get 48 sheets, but they're very thick, very, very thick sheets. And so I want to work with this today because when we're going to be using a lot of water and color, this thicker paper is going to really hold up better than the thinner paper. But I do still use the thinner paper because I love it. But if I want to manipulate the paper a little bit more, I'm going to use a thicker calligraphy paper. So I just wanted to share that with you, and the links will be there for that. We'll have our Sumi ink. I'm going to be using one of my favorite new tools, which is the Matcha Whisk. In my cup, I will be using my Liberating brushes that I love. And of course, you know, we'll be working with the Izinks. It was so nice to see that just so many of you liked the colors and went over and started ordering them. So I know I talked to Seth and he said they're coming in soon. So you guys will get your new colors quickly. And then, but in the meantime, work with your other colors. Many of you already have some Izinks. Go on and play with those. And, you know, just get in or just be inspired for this session. So when yours do come in, let's see, is that everything? I'm gonna have my little spray bottle of water because I will be using some water. And I think that's everything that we're going to need to get started. So let's jump in. I'll go ahead and move these out the way. I'm going to start off with the sheet that we used from last week to sample, because why not? It's already got color down and I want to fully flush this out, so let's use it. I think I'm going to start off with a technique that I like, and I'm going to show you all this because it needs to sit and dry a little bit before I continue to work it. So I take some Sumi ink, and I'll start with my whisk. And so I'm going to make some marks on the plate, on my paper here. Just very random. I know, Matcha Whisk, yeah. I'll make sure you have the link for this. I was making some matcha tea one day, as most of my ideas come to me. And I looked at my whisk, and I looked at this circular and all these extra little, bamboo pieces that are brush-like. And I thought, I bet you that's going to make a nice mark. And needless to say, I need to buy another one for my matcha because I'm just down to just stirring it with a spoon. Because I've already co-opted the whisk. So I'm just going to go back through now and make some marks like this. See how pretty this is just with what we already had underneath there? I mean, think about it. We just had those random patterns of dots. I mean, circular patterns from where we were experimenting with the color palette. And by just doing this over top of it, we really get this really beautiful paper that's ready to work into pages. So I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna come back and put more of the Izinks on it. So we're gonna put this over here, start that process. I have another sheet here that's another partial sheet. So I think I'll take my brush and let's do some mark making. So I'm going to show you how to do this one slightly differently. So using the brush. So I'm just making patterns. I mean, you know, I'm not even thinking about it. Just an intuitive flow of the brush. Okay. So what I like to do with this one, so this is another version of the technique. Let's go ahead and grab a color. So I'm gonna use the butterscotch. Shake it up, because sometimes the pigment will settle a little bit. So let's go ahead and spray it. And then, oh, this is bronze shimmer. That's good. Let's grab butterscotch too. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is get some water. We're going to get this to start running, because the ink will start running, the Sumi. And then the Izinks will start moving into it. And then what we're going to do is get it's going to be pretty absorbent. So I'm going to get a couple of pieces of tissue, probably about 3. And I'm going to start off by just laying them down. So we're almost doing kind of like a printmaking here, almost like a mono printing. Next week we'll do some things on the jelly plate with these once we're done. So we're making our tissue paper, we're making our glassine paper, so we're doing a few things. So as you lift them up, you're going to notice we're going to be picking up some patterns. Just lay them to the side, let them dry, because remember this tissue paper is pretty thin. So I let them dry, and then I decide, once they're dry, to go back to them and, you know, do some more stuff. So, look how yummy this is. So we're going to let it dry. And you'll be able to really see the metallic and everything on it once it, oh, dries are so pretty. So you see how we've lifted a bit up. So let's go here to the top with this piece and get some of that up. Okay. So that to the side. Because see, we activated the green. We got some of that green activated. So I'm going to get the Silver Shine. Oh, I love this. We're going to, now we're kind of starting off with a cool palette, but we're going to work this into, a warm palette. We'll work it into a cool palette. So let's get some of the white tissue paper. So while our other paper is drying, we're just going to start, I'm going to start moving some of this around, because now I'm picking up some of the black too. And we're filling out our page. A little bit of water. Now remember, this tissue paper is making decorative paper too, so keep on opening it up and move things around. Some butterscotch. Oh, love this color. I have no idea where I'm going with this palette. I'm just kind of instinctively picking up the colors and, you know. But what we're doing is we're fleshing out this mark making to have something that we can use as a finished page. And at the same time, we're making this other really neat tie-dye kind of paper. So you just kind of want to keep on moving this around. Let's get, oops. I'm also going to use the gold, Seth's gold. I tell you, I can't promise that I wouldn't not use this. I probably will use this as some of the top layer. I have to open this. This is a new one that I got. So I'll come back and open this. I'm not going to use it right now. So let's go with Morning Mist. Oh, love this Morning Mist. And we're just going to keep on these pages right here. We'll keep on just mixing color. We put it down, we kind of sop it up. My goal is also to work this paper, you know, here so that it becomes a finished piece to really, this is so good, these colors. So sometimes what I do is I open it up, and when I have places that I want a little bit more color, you can just lay it down flat because it's already crumpled. So it's another way of just picking up a little bit more color, see, in some of those areas to flush this out. And then I probably would take, let's see, take some Morning Mist, and I'm going to over spray it. A little bit of it. Oh, this is good. So what it's going to do, I'm going to let this dry, but it's going to harmonize the rest of it. Let me just, sorry I didn't already open this one, but I want to put some gold on here. I'll just open this in a minute. I'll put some gold on there too. But let's just let that dry to see what we get. And this is looking really good. Let's see. Has some nice complexities to it. So I'm going to let this dry. Let's get another sheet. Well, I have this one here. Might as well use all of these. And let's kind of do a similar thing. We're going to, just going to put some color down. I just want to make some sheets that are going to also just be primarily our stained ones. So this is a good one to kind of start that with, just to get some color palettes going. Because we want to make a lot of this tissue paper. So we'll have this for printmaking. So you just, you just spray it down. And this right here is Morning Mist, but it's activating with some of that green there too. So So that's where we're seeing some of the color mixing. Butterscotch. I want to get some of that color mixed in. Had a couple spots that went off the table. Let's grab those. Oh, this is good. That morning mist. And it's funny, you don't have to fill up the entire page with color. You can have some white spots with this technique, because when it dries, it has more of a tie-dyed kind of look to it. It is just amazing. So we don't have to. I'm getting used to where to search for things. I'm gonna put some of this bronze. I'm gonna just spray it right over the top of it. And you just get this beautiful, oh, when it dries, it's gonna be amazing. Okay, let's get some of this red in here. I really was intrigued by this color. Let's get that. I definitely liked it a lot on the Kraft, so go ahead and get this going. I'm gonna use the red with the butterscotch. We'll mix them. And you can just kind of flip this paper all over the place. That's the point. Keep it crumpled, but just, you know, here again, everything is about just moving intuitively with your work. You don't have to overthink it. Oh, this is so good. And this butterscotch with this red is everything. Oh, boy. Love it. Seth came into our session last week. Thanks, Seth. I know you're in this one today. You said you'd pop in. I called him when we were on because you all were asking so many questions, and I reached out. I said, "Hey, Seth, we got a premiere going. Hang out if you can." And he was on a Zoom, but he got off and came in. It's awesome. So you guys were able to ask him a lot of questions, and I know right now I'm sure the chat is quite busy with questions and what have you. So I really always appreciate how, you know, Seth is just so available to all of us, you know, who love his products and his work. So look at this. This is really good. That butterscotch with this red, yum. That's what I really wanted to do, was this color mixing. So we're going to put this down and let it dry. Let's get some more. And see, we're still building this page up. Let's get some more of this red. I want to see what this red is like with the morning mist. Let me see. Probably going to make sort of a... I think what I want to do is see if I can kind of two-tone it. Yes, this is good. So I'm getting an eggplant kind of color. Because it's not quite, you know, purple. Because these aren't quite, this red is more on the true red side, although I think it has a little bit more orange in it. And the blue, this morning mist, is more like a gray kind of blue. But it's making a nice, see how deep the red is getting? I like this. So, you know, just have fun. And even if your colors get really muddy, because I've had, these are some of the other, this little booklet I did, just as a quick one. I used the glassine and the tissue paper that I used to when I was making the paper. And you see my colors got really, now this is not with the new inks. These are with some of the older colors he had. But it's something about them when they dry. I mean, they blend nicely together. You know, like this got really muddy green, but then with that splash of gold on top of it. So these colors really mix nicely. So if you get something that's starting to look, if you feel like it's looking a little muddy, don't worry, let it dry. And you'll find that it's gonna pop nicely. And then also always overspray with some metallic, because that metallic is always going to give it the shot of color that's needed. I really like this gray with this red quite a bit. Okay. Okay. So this is where we're going to get some gold. Just a minute. Okay, I'm back. I had to open up Gold Mine. This is one from his first color line. I love it. It's a staple in my paint selections. And when I saw this red with, I just couldn't take not putting some gold on it. So we're going to spray some gold right on it. And we're going to let this dry. And making these papers is just this easy, and it's so hard to resist, because I'm telling you, it's like playing on the jelly plate. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do some with these other papers that we pulled out so you guys can see. So I'm gonna do a similar thing with this. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna get some of this red down. I'm kind of gonna just do a combination. I'm gonna put the Silver Shine. That's going to activate this green. And I'm going to get some bronze shimmer. Why not? And let's do the butterscotch. So I'm filling this paper up because, of course, I want it to be completely done. We already did some, but let's get some more. And some of the gray, some more. Do it right there. Now we're going to do a similar technique to we did a minute ago. We're going to grab, I'll grab like 3 sheets of our calligraphy paper. Just go ahead and lay it down. There's so many different ways to grab color. Take this one out because it's not as absorbent. There. Cool, okay. Oh, love it. So what I'm doing is I'm using the glassine. It makes a beautiful way to start kind of picking up these sort of mono-printed kind of patterns. Oh, with the colors just all over. This is just beautiful. And at the same time, we are getting another sheet done. Look at this. See that? See how the colors will just lay on top of each other? Look at that bronze here. You get a lot of surprise patterns while you're using up this ink by you can kind of like, you can see how the colors just sort of mix nicely. You almost don't have to be overly concerned. Let's go ahead and put this down. Let's get some more of this done. Okay, and then I'm going to ball it up like this. Get some crinkles in it. Then open it back up. Lay it down crinkled. I'm going to mist it with some gold. And then we're going to let that dry. And we're going to just keep on doing that with the rest of these. Let's get this green. I realized I hadn't used Miss Underwater. Love this. It's a beautiful turquoise. And I love turquoise. Let's get some butterscotch. And let's get some of the gray. A little bit more red. And the other thing you can do is you can spray a little water. And that'll move this color a little bit more too. Dilute it a little bit. Lay it down. It's like playing with water when we were kids, you know. Made mud pies and all that kind of good stuff. Oh, this is really good. I like how the colors are making this striation. Look at that. That is good. Remember, this paper is a little thin, so it's going to start getting wet. You want to start kind of work with it. So here, I'm going to go back with this gray mist in there and just work it into that green and into that red. And then I'm going to spray it with my gold. It's gold mine. You can see that, let me get my glassine. So the other thing that I like to do is I'll take fresh glassine and I kind of lay everything around on the floor. So when it's kind of really wet like this one is, this is good. You know, I just put it on the glassine and it's going to transfer to the glassine as well. Some colors, and that's good. You know, as much of that as we can get. So just move this around because it's like the glassine works as a gel plate. As a mono printing process. And that's the beauty of what the gel plate is. It's really a mixed media product more so than just printing. And printing, it can, you know, a lot of times people are very intimidated by the idea of printing, but it really is, I mean, mono printing is printing. So just really staying kind of open to, look at that butterscotch there with this green. Okay, some more butterscotch. I'm going to get some of that in there. And I want to get, let's get back to that red. This red, I'm falling in love with this red. For those of you who know me as Miss Monochromatic Queen here, I do like color. But I'm very particular about color, number one. Very particular about color palettes. And also, I go through phases where I like more color. And then I feel like I cleanse my palette by going monochromatic again. And then I'll come back and explore more color. And then I'll cleanse my palette again by going monochromatic. So I kind of go back and forth between colors like that, which keeps me fresh, I think, with how I relate, oh, look at this, to color. So let's get the bronze. What was the bronze shimmer? So this time we're going to fill in all of these spots, all the white that's left with the bronze shimmer. Look at this. We want to keep some of that white because when it dries, that's the beauty of this technique. Oh my goodness, you should see my floor. Oh, love it. Okay, keep an eye on the time, Robin. Alrighty, so we have some more sheets. We're just going to keep doing this. And then once I kind of get, I think with this sheet, maybe the next one, we'll introduce some of the Sumi, but we're going to introduce that one that has the black and the silver to it, and it really pops up on this paper really nicely. So we're going to do that, and then we also have this piece. So I'll be right back. Alrighty, so I'm back. I had to track down here in my studio this bottle. So this is a traditional Chinese ink. It's a Sumi ink. It's called Golden Black. It also comes in gold and silver black, I mean. And this has gold flecks in it. Now, many of you who follow me already have this, so you can just go to your shelf and pull it off. I'll have the links for this also below the video, and probably a picture popping up right now showing it. But this will, the black, when you use it on traditional calligraphy paper, Chinese calligraphy paper, it'll suck the gold flakes to the top, and you end up with this really golden black. If you use it on some of the other traditional Western papers, it doesn't seem to do the same, but on calligraphy papers, oh my goodness, it sings. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I'm going to just dot some around on here, because this is our palette, because we're about ready to change this a little bit now. And I'm going to crumple this, and then I'm going to let it start absorbing this. And you want to shake it, because if you can hear, it's got this, I don't know if you can hear it. Hear that ball? There's a ball in there that you want to shake until it releases, because what it'll do, it's going to start pushing it'll break up the gold powder. It's at the bottom of the bottle, and it'll make it start. We are getting a nice gold black here on here, though. This is good. So I'm gonna do some more. You'll see, it's gonna really pop. And we get these nice little spots on around our paper too. Our ink blots. You guys know how much I love ink blots. So you just kind of do that, and then you take your paper and you just kind of press it down. Different spots. Let it absorb color. This is good. And then what we're going to do is we are going to come back and spray these with the Izinks. But we'll have this really unique gold black on there to create. This is so good. Let's push these up a little bit. Okay. Good. Remember the edges of the paper. Try to get color to come off your page as well when you're doing mark making. So as this is drying, you can kind of see the gold. You can see the gold in there. It is really good. So I'm just going to put this aside for a minute, and I'm going to kind of do that with this now. On these papers, I'm often asked what side I like to use. If I'm going to be worried about only using one side of the paper, then I like to use the side that's got texture, because that's traditionally the side you should be using, because it sucks up the ink for brush making, and it keeps it from just bleeding out too much when you're actually doing calligraphy that you want that pattern to stay in place. And the smooth side was the side that was put against the board to dry. Now, there's nothing wrong if you want to print on that smooth side, or do, it's like, you know, here again, there's no right or no wrongs, but I am asked that a lot, and I like the side with the texture. And I'm just explaining why that texture is there, because you may say, well, why is that texture there, you know? Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to spray some of this morning mist in here, because I do like to start moving some of the color around, the Sumi around. Okay, so we're going to let this dry. Need another piece of glassine here. Okay, and we have one more sheet here of our calligraphy, well, two more. We're going to use this up. So now let's do this technique where we actually ball it up and pick the color up. It's also going to make another pattern down on our glassine. It's really pretty. These colors mix together so well, Seth. It's amazing. Just, it's hard to have a color problem with these paints. I mean, with these inks. They just all blend together so beautifully that they don't seem to go muddy. It's really nice. Okay. So let's go back. I want to get some more of this red. So I'm going to really kind of now get some of the butterscotch. And let's get some of the traditional gold from his color line. So we're going to take this and I'm going to take it and put it on top of the sheet I haven't done yet. And then that way I'm going to start getting some bleeding through on this sheet. And I'll get full bleed on the sheet below. And why did I do that? It's just because this paper was starting to tear. Because it does do that. But I don't really mind it because I love to come back and see the way the paint will bleed around those torn holes. You get a whole nother beautiful look from that. So don't worry about it. Just keep going. But I was just trying to make the paper a little more stable. Oh, look at this. And see what's happening underneath here. And this black is going gold black. It's not a strong black underneath there, which is nice. So let me get some more of this. Just kind of soften up all the black. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to get the turquoise underwater. And I'm going to, first of all, I want to crumple this a little bit. Just open it up a bit. And then spray this. And get some gold. The reason why I like to crumple it because you kind of get the effects of, you know, the paint leaves that sort of crumpled look. And at the same time, I'm going to get some butterscotch across here. So it helps to maintain the pattern. Oh, that's really gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to go back and grab, this is the, nope. I was thinking this is the piece that was on the, use the silver mist. I'll go back to that stronger calligraphy paper because we have that coming up. I like these marks that I have here. So what I'm just doing is I'm filling it in with some of the silver mist so that I can kind of keep a lighter palette and just sort of have those marks there. So when it dries though, you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's get some gold though. Gotta have a little bit of gold. Oh, this is so good. Okay, so decorative papers, here we are. No more going out to the stores and buying those papers that look like everybody else's work. Oh my goodness. You guys know how I feel about that. When it's so much, it's so much more liberating. Now this is the thicker paper, so we're going to be able, this is going to hold up nicely. So what color? I think I want to kind of deal with this butterscotch. Let's put some of this down. And I want to crumple this again to do this. yeah, no more going out to Michael's and all those places and buying those papers, and then your work looks like everyone else's. When it's so easy just to make these papers, and they're so much fun, they're so rewarding, and they're your language, they're your visual vocabulary, you know? So, oh, look at this butterscotch mixed in. This is so good. Oh boy. I'm gonna spray some right on here too. Why not? And I'm also going to use a little bit of water because this paper can take it, just to make it run a little bit more. Because it'll make it bleed out a little more. And then let's get the gold. Oh, look how that black is really bleeding out from underneath the in the Sumi Ink in this paper. The black is now really, let's see if I can show you, it's really bleeding out from underneath the gold. See that? Just by applying some water. This paper is so much thicker that it can handle it. The thinner, not so much, unless you can do this, but you can't move it. Like, just put it on something that when you're ready to move it, you can just pick the whole thing up and move it. And then when it dries, it'll be fine, but it's got to dry. I'm loving this. It's really bleeding. So a little bit more butterscotch here, because now I got enough water on here that it's going to really make this paper, it's really going to bleed. I really like what's happening here. So I'm going to finish with a little bit of gold on top, and then we're going to let this rest. And see, I can pick it up. Even with all that water on it, I can still pick it up because it's a much thicker paper. So no worries with that. Okay, and this is our last sheet. So let's just go ahead and we're going to ball it up. I'm just going to pick what we have left behind. And then we're going to let all this dry. I'll show you what everything looks like dried. And then we'll be on to next week. We're going to then, you know, do the mark making. We're going to do some stuff on the jelly plate to add some more marks to these papers. Just to really max them out. Good. So, and look at this. This has a really beautiful Asian Chinese red. The quality on that is just amazing. So let me see. What do I want to, got some color over here. Let's grab it. What do I want to finish this out with? Maybe let's try the, I think I've used all the colors pretty well. Let's use the, this is gray or morning mist. Oh, I'm loving that. And then let's put a little bit of silver over top of it. Let's use the silver mist. Silver Shine, I think it is. What's it called? Silver Shine, yeah. Oh, this with the gold is amazing. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry. And then I'll be back to show you all the papers dried. And then we'll be ready for next week. I think I gave you a lot of ideas here just to keep on, you know, just keep putting all this stuff on repeat. You'll be ready for next week for us to do some printmaking on top. But I'll be right back with all of the dried pages. I thought I would show you the floor as they're drying. I mean, they're so good. Look at this one. I decided to leave this one as it was. I just love those really pale tones. Oh, I love that. So these back there are as they were, and I'm going to leave them like that because then we can do some 𝐼𝐍𝐼𝐍 and then spray a little bit more, maybe gold on top of them. We have that one. We have these over there. So lots of yummies to keep on working with. So this is just from this session. And of course, you know, we can just keep on working. Why stop, right? So I thought I'd just show you how they all look laid out. Okay, so let's take a look through our finished papers. So this is the one that we did on the calligraphy, the thicker calligraphy paper. And this stuff is almost like, it's just like, almost like fabric. It's amazing how thick it is. It's really beautiful paper. So, you know, just crumpling it. It really has some, I mean, look at this paper. It looks like something you could have gone to Blick and purchased, where they have all the Asian papers and papers from India and stuff like that. I mean, just look at how beautiful it is. And then on the other side, we have this. So even both sides really give you quite a different pattern, which I love. I love the fact that, you know, even if you want to use it inside of a book, or, you know, depending on which side of the paper you want to use, you have these options. So these are the ones that we did where we just simply did monoprinting. We just picked up the ink as it was on the glassine paper. And these I like to leave like this because, well, we're going to do some overprinting, right? So we're going to be doing mark making, what have you, on these. And then when you go to crumple them and put other color on them, and you see we were maybe able to make like 3 of them at a time. Where's the other one? Right here. So you get all kind of different sort of patterning on them. So lay several sheets down at a time and do this, because this is really good. This is one of them that we finished. And look at, this is the back side of it, but it could be the front side. So you see how vibrant it is. And then this side was where I did a lot of overspraying with the butterscotch and the gold. And so see how this is just laying on the top of the surface. So you get 2 sides that are just amazing using the tissue paper and the Japanese calligraphy paper. Now this was another one that we did the monoprinting on, where we just kind of, when I remember I sprayed all the color down and laid it down. And look at this side. Look how great these papers look. This is some that we crumpled. This is the same calligraphy paper. The one that we normally use in this pack, because I use 2 types today. So this is the one that, you know, you get 100 sheets of it. The thinner. So this is, we'll call it thinner and thicker paper, but this is the thinner. But look how beautiful it is. I mean, I love both sides equally. This is our tissue paper that we did colors in. So this was the white. I mean, these are just really, I mean, they just remind me of tie-dye. I love them. Here's some more. This is the Kraft, using the red and the gray mist with the gold on it. This is the red with ochre with gold on it. Ochre. I always say ochre. You can see I have food on my mind. Or it's butterscotch. It just reminds me of that kind of color, but it's actually butterscotch. So we'll call it butterscotch. So beautiful. And here's another one that was the dye that we just laid down and picked color up. I mean, look at this side there. I mean, it's such good staining. And this is the black, where we mostly used this, the golden black. And then I sprayed it with the gray. This gray is such a beautiful gray blue color. It's almost like a French blue. I love it. And then this side has more of the gold spray on it. So you can see the difference in the sides. And then this is one that was very basic. Remember, we just had the ink blots, and I just sprayed it a little bit with gold, just to have a lighter sheet to work with. And this side, oh, look at that. And now these are our glassines. Just ready to go. Love this one. I love this one. I decided not to do anything else to it, because I really liked seeing those kind of pastel feels like that. Just perfect as it is. And this is the last one that we worked on. But look at how we just have this real Asian Chinese red with the gold. And it just looks like something that could be used on like a screen or something like that. I'm loving this. And I just love how those colors have just really maintained themselves, even though we were just doing a lot of mixing. And we can see how that black has kept the gold color to it. And then this was just one that I dried the papers off on, but I'm going to keep this for our mark making session that we're going to do next week, because that one's going to be ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed this session. Just keep on playing with these. Take some of these techniques that I've shown you. Just do them and repeat. Make as many papers as you can, because we're going to reuse these, and we're going to do mark making on top of them with the jelly plate and our Posca pens. So that we can have lots of papers to go back and work in our cabinet of curiosities. Remember, we're going to be using our slides coming up, so start grabbing slides, and we're just going to keep on working all these lovely papers into our book projects, into our art journaling, our cabinet of curiosities, of course, and just have fun. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumb it up if you liked it. And also, if you're new to my channel, please hit that bell and hit all so that you get all the videos. We do this premiere every single Saturday, and I just have a ball hanging out with you guys. You know, so many of you are in here. It's like sometimes, and I'm done, I'm looking at it, there are like over 100 people who were premiering this video with us, and I just think it's amazing. And so many of us are getting to know each other, so we're just chatting in there and talking away, and I love it. So thanks a lot for that. And remember that on Wednesdays I do workshop this, and that's where I'm actually really going in and targeting one question, one technique, and helping you flesh it out. So keep on asking questions, suggest things below my videos that you may like to know or have questions on. So until later, love you guys. Take care. Happy creating. Bye-bye.